SJ. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stone Go, Gary Fife, Jaho Jeff Geddos. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio here on this beautiful Oatmulgee morning. And joining me here in the studio is our co-worker and colleague, Morgan Taylor. SJ.
SJ, everyone.
We got a couple of things we'll be sharing with you. First of all, we have Mr. Grover Wind, who's head of our Veterans Affairs Department, who's got give us an update on the activities there. And they've got a couple of really important things to talk about. And in the second portion of our program, we have a plan to talk with our excuse me, I can't say it there, our language department. Having a little trouble with my own language here this morning. And find out what they've got planned, what they've got going, and ways that they're working to share the Mvskoke language with citizens and those who are interested in learning. I'm still in process there. I'm still having a few phrases come to mind and make sense, and then some words are starting to work out. So I feel like I'm making progress because of this department, so hopefully others will. And you, Ms. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I am tired and slow this morning, but I'm making it. We're on hump day, right? So
yes, believe. And one of those things that ran through my mind when the alarm went off is turn the darn thing off and roll over, because boy was I sleeping good. Anyway, let's get on with it here. Mr. Grover Wind here has got several things on their agenda these days. And while he's busy picking stuff out, we're going to turn it over to him and have you get an update on Veterans Affairs.
Good morning. Thank you, Gary. Thank you for having us. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, and I also appreciate the opportunity that you guys allow us to be able to reach out to our citizens. We've got several events going on, and then I'll do an update toward the end if you don't mind, sir. But the first thing I want to talk about is our Trail of Tears ride, and we actually have a Trail of Tears ride. You know, we started a Mvskoke Riders group that we have to honor and go the last mile with our veterans and to escort our chief and second chief and dignitaries.
Now, this is different from what the Cherokees do. They have young people on bicycles coming from the south all the way on the trail here, but you have a different group.
Yes, sir. We're going to take our Mvskoke motorcycle riders, ones that honor our escort our veterans on their last mile, you know, from the funeral home to the church or church to the cemetery. We've been asked to join the group of motorcycle riders. I understand there's several thousand that will meet on September 13th in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we have several of our riders who are going to go down that day to ride back. They will ride back from there to Oatmulgee. We have a group that's going down Thursday to meet up with them, and then I will be going down Sunday with a group here to meet with them. We'll be making the trip back. We'll end up at Mvskoke College, where President Randall is actually feeding the riders. But it's an event to come back. The riders also, the group from Tennessee actually will be making making a donation to the college in the scholarship form. But it's an honor for us to be able to participate on part of the shall we say, part of the trail that our ancestors traveled on. Now, you know, granted, again, we're riding motorcycles, and we're a lot more comfortable than they ever were as far as walking and the conditions. But we're looking forward to representing Mvskoke Creek Nation, our Mvskoke citizens in this ride. As I said, there will be several of us going down. As a footnote to that, this Mvskoke Riders is an all-volunteer group, and we're actually asking for donations or sponsorships to help.
Let me ask you this question here real quick.
Sure.
When in the past, when you hear the phrase motorcycle riders, some people get a little nervous about bad bikers, coming through and doing whatever
Sure.
evil stuff they do. And I think people still get nervous when they might encounter a group of motorcycles, usually wearing some sort of colors.
Yes, sir.
And the reason I say that's true is because last year, the year before last, there in Glenpool, I popped in to get a newspaper, and there were 3 huge guys wearing Mongol colors.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And I got a little nervous saying, well, let's not mess things up and give them the wrong impressions. And, they were, went about their business and
Yes, sir.
went on. So,
Yes,
but I have to say, I did get a little nervous there, wondering, if these guys decided to break loose, then
Sure.
we're in trouble. But that is not the case with all motorcycle riders or clubs, right?
Yes, sir. That's perfectly correct. You'll find that the old history of the Hells Angels and so forth, there are still groups out there, but our group, we don't really call ourselves a club. We call it a group because we actually represent Mvskoke Nation, and we actually represent veterans. Interestingly enough about that, when we decided to start this group, there was some question about, we actually reached out to all of the motorcycle riders and the big groups that are in Oklahoma, and because we do wear vests, and on the back of the vest we have our logo, if you will, our slogan, where we represent the veterans. And it actually means, the translation actually means rides a horse. Mm-hmm. So we consider our motorcycle our horse. But we've gotten great, shall I say, reach outs from all the other groups. Facts about it, in our Christmas motor toy ride, which we'll have again this year, I'll touch on that briefly, but we've had several groups from Tulsa and Mvskoke and Oklahoma City actually join us for this. You'll find that most of the groups are very, very supportive of any kind of fundraising you have, if it's for children or homeless or veterans. And there's never really been one for veterans, which is what our direction is, to be able to go one where we actually help the veterans. This started out as to help our was a toy drive after we assembled for our veterans.
Oh, yeah, I just had a question. When you do a sponsorship, do you guys do things like give, I guess, recognition for that on your vest or some sort of banner, kind of like they'll do in like parades or something like that?
We don't on our vest, but we do, for example, for this, we will have a banner that we publish, just like we did for the concert, that will show the different ones that donated. It will be a banner that will exhibit out at the Veterans Office for a while, just to be able to show them. We also can issue a tax letter if some of them donated and they want to be able to use this as a tax write-off. We also have a letter, because we operate under the umbrella of the nation, and they're a part of us, so we're able to do that also.
Well, that's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, get a little tax break there and get some recognition on a banner for a special event.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you guys carry that like as you're riding, or is that something?
How you mean?
The banner, is that like just?
No, we won't carry it with us. We'll just the banner itself. You're talking about for the donations?
Yes. Yes.
No,
Sir.
it will be out at the office, out at our office there, where people coming in, music, and we'll see who donates. We still have ours up from last year from the concert. When the guest goes through, they're able to see who sponsored for our concert last year.
Okay, and so what does the donations pay for? Gas, lodge?
Gas, mainly. As I said, this is a volunteer group, and they didn't ask for anything. They were going to pay for their own rooms, they were going to pay for their own gas, but talking with Chief and Second Chief, we're all in agreement, hey, these guys are taking it out of their pockets, let's see if we can help them. We started out trying mainly to help them for their rooms. If we can get enough to help for their rooms, then that's great. I mean, they were just absolutely tickled, if I can say that, pleased that we were going to try to help them. They didn't ask for any of it. We're just trying to help them, because again, anything they take, the gas, maintenance, tires, whatever they use is out of their pocket. They're not getting anything from the tribe as far as that now.
Have you guys kind of guesstimated what it might cost for an individual to do the trip?
Well, we didn't really do an individual. We kind of took a number of people that were going and everything, and we're looking about we were trying to raise about $5,000. And the $5,000 we're just going to take care of the number of rooms that we had.
Okay.
See, some of them will be gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the rest of them, and we have a group that's going to be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we'll be gone Sunday. So there's a number of rooms that we're trying to pay for.
Does that cover, how many people does that help?
Right now we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 15 riders going.
Okay, that's really good. That's a lot of involvement, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we will have the count was for the total for when we came back into to Okmulgee to the college. We were probably looking between 50 to 75 bikes coming in.
Wow.
Now, are those all creek riders? Or?
No, we have the majority of them is creek riders, but we have some veterans who are Cherokee, and we have some other veterans who wanted to ride, and it's just in something. This particular one is mainly we're mainly doing it for the creek riders, you know. But as far as the other riders coming in with us, they won't all necessarily all be creek. There'll be some Cherokees, there'll be some other tribes, and there'll be some other riders.
How many members does your group have?
Right now we have probably 45, and a large number like that, especially on a volunteer basis, is great because, we all can't go. Say a funeral is called, we all can't go, so we have it on a volunteer basis, so we're able to. If some can't go, some others can go. Kind of fill in, but. And a lot of our riders are retirees, but we do have some that are employees. The employees that work for our nation are able to help. If it's a funeral that they can go to. We had our first Mvskoke Nation veteran escort here about 2 months ago, and sadly enough, it was my grandson. But we were able to honor on. We went from High Spring, Okemah to High Spring, Kanawha, and we had an entourage of about 3 miles.
Gosh.
And it was we had to support with light horse. And speaking of light horse, I'll talk on that in a minute. Light horse, and then Seminole Nation light horse, Seminole Nation Sheriff's Department, Seminole Nation's police department. I mean, it was beautiful, Gary. It really was, just to see it. And we had one. We've had anyone we've had light horse has just been very supportive of us. We asked
now,
for.
Light Horse has its own motorcycle unit.
No, not yet. What we've done
yet,
is we purchased through the Veterans Office. We asked for resolution to buy 3 bikes for the funeral detail.
Right. Okay.
Yes, and they have that. They do have. They have. I think they I don't know how many their volunteer group is, and I'll bring him in someday if you'd like. But yes, they have several officers who volunteered to be a part of this group, and their bikes are now stored out at GSA, and they may ride with us this weekend in the Cherokee Nation Festival. We do that as to advertise.
Yeah.
I had Cherokee Nation at our intertribal meeting. I was asked by some of the other nations if they were able to use our Mvskoke riders, and we said yes. We don't turn down a native veteran, So I was in a meeting with Cherokee Nation this week, and they asked us again, could they use them? Facts about it. It was kind of pleasing. They're thinking about starting their own group and asked us if we would help, and we said yes, we would. So, but yeah, it's exciting, Gary. It really is. And the main thing is.
Wait, you have to remind the Cherokees that the creeks are still around.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But the main thing is that when we do this, it's not so much for the veteran because he or she's already gone on, but the family is what it really, really. I mean, just to. The first one we done, their family just cried because it was such an honor for them to see us escort, and it does us too. I have to admit, we probably all get teary-eyed when we do it.
Well, let me take that a step further. I mean,
Yes,
when you get your group together and you're honoring someone like that, there's got to be a huge sense of personal pride.
There is.
In the group and in the individuals. I mean, are you a writer? Do you write yourself?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir.
Then what is it that runs through your mind and heart when you're participating in something like this?
Again, the pride, and the sense of knowing that we were there when they needed us. The sense of knowing that we all in the military, we all said we don't leave any behind,
Right.
and this is our way of not leaving them behind. We were able to go with them all the way to the final mile. But no, there's a sense of pride, Gary, that just tugs at you. There's a sense of pride that seriously that I have to admit that we'll bring a tear to your eye because you know you're honoring your fellow a veteran.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And it's another way to like let others know that this was a veteran,
Yes.
somebody that fought for your country,
Yes, yes.
and that means a lot too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and you'd be surprised. What's really uplifting too, is on this particular ride to Kanawha, we had law enforcement. Of course, they know we're coming through.
Yeah.
But we had them on the side of the road saluting the hearses that went by.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just it. You guys, you guys have to see it. It's really heartwarming.
Remembering a fallen comrade.
Yes, absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, that is so touching to hear this group coming together like this, and to see them show and people respond like that.
Yeah, it's bringing out my prego emotions right now.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Once again, you heard it here first on Mvskoke Radio.
Yep.
Our dear colleague is at it again.
Well, we and of course back to your question about the groups or the clubs again being a group, but we also have policies and we have procedures and we have guidelines that we expect our riders to adhere to because we are not only representing Mvskoke Nation veterans, Mvskoke Nation office, but we're representing that veteran.
Can you take a second and tell us about those restrictions, shall we call them, or rules that must be followed?
Gary, it's a pretty. Let's just say we expect them to make a good representation. We just feel like that they need to represent to make us and the nation and the veteran proud. We just make sure that they're doing all the right things.
Do you guys dress like funeral dress
No.
or
No,
casual?
we dress, as you can see in this picture there, it's usually jeans and our vest and the shirt. We really can't because on a motorcycle you want something like the jeans. So if you were to go down, you need something to protect your legs, and your arms, and everything. So we dress just how we feel appropriate for that day.
So dress less would shred pretty quickly if you got some road rash.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it makes me feel proud that you were there. Now you've got some events coming up soon. I think a couple things.
Yes, sir. One of the things that we're looking at wanting to do again is we're doing the Women's Veterans Summit, and that's in October. It would be at the River Spirits. It was a huge success last year. We're going to have it again this year. Again, we got the Trail of Tears ride that we're going to have. We're wanting to have a welcome back Vietnam vet for our Mvskoke veterans. It's never been done. We want to do that. We were hoping October, but those dates are pretty full, so it may be early spring before we can do it. Updates on the cemetery is one of the things I want to talk about. I get asked about that quite a bit. We still have not received our funding from the VA. We've got some plans on the drawing board that we may do something different. My take on that, Gary, is the last. I started on this 7 years ago, and even the last 4 years ago when COVID started, we could probably had 60 or more veterans in our cemetery, that COVID got. So it's very close and dear to my heart to get this thing done. So we may be looking. Second Chief and the cabinet meeting told me today to get a meeting together and let's discuss this. So I know we're wanting to get something done with it, so it's hopefully next time I see you I'll have some information that I can relate to you on that. Right now I just know that we're looking to make this happen.
I've heard quite a bit about Veterans Cemetery, even with I think Michael Kuhn. I think that was something he was advocating for a while now. No, it's not.
He's Michael is mainly the Mission 22.
Yeah, the Mission 22.
Yeah.
With the veteran cemetery, would it be limited to just the veteran individually, or would they allow spouses or families, or how would that work?
We would allow the spouse.
Spouse.
We'd be just like just like Fort Gibson. Any national cemetery, we allow the veteran and the spouse.
Okay. Yeah.
Families, we really, that's really not something we're able to do because we can't reserve anything. As far as the veterans' plot is concerned, it'd be deep enough to where there could be two of them in it.
Right,
We're
spouse.
not,
Yeah.
We're not able to do it, but yeah, it's It's something that it's something that we've needed for a while, and it's something that, and it'll be just like, even if we go a different direction, it'll be just like Fort Gibson and Fort Smith and Fort Sill. It will be Arlington. It'll be like Arlington. We'll have the white headstones. But yeah, it's something that we've needed to do. We're prepared. We've already bought the land. We've got it ready. Cultural has looked at it. Environmental looked at it. We've done everything we need to do except get to go ahead on them. And appreciation and fairness to our administration and council. I've been asked often, when are we going to get started? Well, we don't have the funding, but they're ready to do whatever we need to do to make it go forward. So
that's great. Yeah. So you'll not only be able to, escort these veterans, but you'll be able to give them a place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
Yes. We brought our homeless veteran program under, I think she's been in here with a meeting on you, under our VASO umbrella, and it's turned into be a huge success. They were able now, by coming under our umbrella, they were able to focus primarily on our veterans. Before, it was a federal program, so they were kind of spread kind of thin. So I've been really proud of them. They've really done a tremendous job in that area, taking care of the veterans.
And they've moved, right?
Yes, they are now in downtown here, close to us.
Instead of Henrietta, they are no longer at the RIP reintegration location there, downtown Okmulgee.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And which brings in another play. We're in the process of writing a grant for additional office space out at the VASO building, because we could use 2 or 3 more employees now. When 2 years ago, when we started this program over there, we were getting 4 to 5 a week, and it's not unusual to get 5 or 6 a day come through now. Mm-hmm. And we really need more assistance as far as one of the things I would like to see happen over there is us have a native veteran counselor, because Gary, you and I've had to discuss. A veteran will talk to a veteran, but a native veteran won't necessarily talk to anybody but a native veteran. Right. We're just that way, So,
well, I mean that carries over into situations with doctors and nurses,
yes,
or legal counselors.
Yes, exactly. So,
et cetera, et cetera.
So that's one of our goals, is to be able to find this and bring on eventually. And I've been working with health on this, and they've been very supportive. But being able to find us a Mvskoke, a native veteran who is a counselor, so that we can. PTSD is the biggest. Homelessness is a big problem, but PTSD is usually, you'll find, is probably one of the main reasons behind homelessness. Mm-hmm. And PTSD is one of the items that we're really promoting and pushing the next coming year. It's going to be a campaign that you see us get very, very strong and heavy behind, to be able to take to, because we one of the reasons that we lost our grandson was because of PTSD. So it got close to home. So I was able to understand more than I did before. I know I'm running out of time here, though. So
you're fine.
One of the things we're working on too is we're working with the education department about working with not only our schools but them about educating our kids, our students, our girls and boys, about military academies. Mm-hmm. And allowing them to be able to go to military academy. That's one thing that wasn't done in the past. It's something that we really needed to focus on, and honestly, that's another area that is a pet peeve of mine, because they never would. When I was in school, I didn't hear about the military academy. I heard about the FBI, but I never heard about the military academy. And we have a lot of Creek Native officers in the Air Force and in the Navy, and but.
Wait, before we go, a couple things. Going back to what you just said, when you say the military academies, we're talking West Point, Annapolis, what is it, Colorado Springs?
Air Force,
and those are the big officer development centers. I mean, you go to school there and you come out at least a second lieutenant or whatever. Right. And our people were not being allowed to participate in those?
No, it's not so much that we're not being so much allowed to participate. We're not being told about it.
Okay. World of difference there.
Yes, and again, what I said was a point of irritation with me. It's sometimes like I thought that maybe, and forgive me for saying this, you might have to cut the radio on me on this, but it just felt like they thought we weren't smart enough to be officers, and that's not the case. In most of your military campaigns, even Vietnam, the first guy they put out, if they had a native veteran, or native officer, or native military guy, he was appointed.
Right.
Why? Because they respected us for our military, abilities. But
Now, that was a stereotype I've heard of before, like, oh, well, the Charlie's up there, up the hill, let's send Cochise out there
Right.
to find him.
Right. So we're really pushing that, and the education department has been very, 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 very supportive of it. Don't forget our coffee and donut day, the second Thursday of every month. Let's see. Don't forget about our. Let's see. I think February is when we go see the keel laying for our United States Navy ship Mvskoke Creek Nation. That's coming about, and we're looking on trying to have an honor flight next year for our veterans again, like we did last November rather. Again, our benefit concert. We are having a benefit concert at River Spirits. We haven't signed a contract. We have somebody in mind. I can't release that till we do sign a contract for a date and time. Our intertribal meetings, we established a veterans subcommittee for that, and that's been very successful. All the 5 tribes, veterans offices have been really working together to get things done for each and every one. I'll have one of the tribes, one of the other nations call me, say, I've got a Choctaw, I've got a Chickasaw, I've got a Cherokee veteran in the area, can you help him? And we do. And likewise, I'll call one of them and say, hey, we've got one down there, can you help him? Our Thank You for Your Service dog program, we laid off it a while. We had 13 dogs. They're all gone but one. But I've been asked for veterans on it again, so probably at first year we'll start that program back up again. Again, that's an area where we need some more help. We just don't have enough help to do all we need to do. We enclosed the center part of our veterans building. It was open. And it was open for rain, snow, heat, whatever, and we never really could utilize it. So we went back in and closed it in, and so we're utilizing it now. Let's see, I'm trying to hurry here. I know you got somebody else coming on. We just got a lot going on, Gary. We had a veterans job fair for our homeless program. They've done a good job on that. We're having a PACT event in September the 22nd out at the Dome, and as a small stand down for our veterans. And the PACT event actually is something that was signed into where our Vietnam and even our Afghanistan or our Desert Storm troops, particularly our Vietnam areas, they fought for so long on Agent Orange, weren't able to get diagnosed and get benefits for it. Now it's been opened up, so we're trying to get all of them to come out and sign up for our PACT Act.
Well, you said that the best way to keep up with you guys is Facebook.
Yes.
So what is it? Just Mvskoke Nation Veterans Affairs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So just you only were able to touch some stuff today. So if anybody wants to follow you guys, keep current with you, Facebook at Mvskoke Nation Veterans Affairs.
Right, and those veterans who may need services.
Yes. Please come see us.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we let you go, what kind of numbers are we talking about?
Coming in?
Yeah, people that your office serves, or any estimate of how many of them?
Yes, I would say I was asked that question again, Gary, and we really can't put a thumb on it because I guess we can go back and check our record, but I would say now, whereas we were having, they were, when 2 years ago we were probably getting maybe 20, 25 a month. We're probably now getting 150 to 225 a month come through.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah.
That's because of the latest conflicts.
People
getting older and coming in.
It's also because we're now being able to talk more of our Vietnam vets to come in.
Okay.
One of the things veterans have to consider too, and this is one we really push upon our veterans now is, okay, you're a veteran, all right. If you're eligible for disability, come in and get your disability. Well, I may not need it. I don't need it. I said, well, think about your family, because if you have 100% disability, in some cases your spouse can get part of that. When God calls you home, or when the Creator calls you home, you'll be able to get that. So, but if you don't apply for them, as a veteran don't apply for them, she can't come back after the fact, after they're gone, and apply for it. The veterans apply for it. So we've been really pushing them about, and we've been really pushing veterans to come in, and widows.
Right. Well, there's so much progress going on that it makes you really feel good to hear what you guys are up to. Well, we need to move on here, so thank you, Grover Wynn, for coming in, and I'm sure there will be
Thank you for having me.
Interested. We're going to take a short pause here, and we'll be bringing out some people from our language department. So please stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on The Brew.
Hear that? That's the sound of Hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Okay, welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew. We have our language department joining us here in studio. We have a director. Manager, okay. Have to be careful when we get to those titles. Anyway, she's still Judy Montiel, no matter what her title is. And joining her in studio here is Dolores Mosquitoes. Welcome to our program. We appreciate you coming in. First of all, you guys have been putting out a lot of flyers for different program initiatives and things like that. So what are you all working on now these days?
It's Jay Gary. It's Jay listeners. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us back. I know that we weren't able to make it last week, but there is a lot of things going on in our department, and we're so grateful that we've seen an influx of interest as far as resource booths that we've been asked to attend. And one of the events that we have coming up September the 5th, which is Tuesday, coming back from the holiday of Labor Day, we put out a flyer for, we've named it Mvskoke Aboniga Idokalgida, and what that means is Mvskoke Language Gathering. So we have that set aside. It's 8 to 5 on Tuesday. It's going to be held at the Housing Authority building on the second floor, conference room. And the reason why we only allowed for 10 is we find that a smaller group, the attentiveness to the language is, we have a better feedback when we have a smaller audience. So we're not trying to eliminate anyone, but we'd like to take a small group. So we've asked for 10 people to come. We had registration to fill up pretty quickly. And so we have an agenda planned for that day that it has a variety of learning. We're going to start off with a song and a prayer. We're going to introduce our staff. We are going to highlight what our program is currently involved in, and that in itself is, you know, it's a pretty huge list because we've got so many different things that we're involved in as opposed to a few years back. So seeing the interest in the language is very gratifying for us right now.
Yeah, let's let me turn my mic back on here, silly guy. We have participated in classes in the past, and I got a lot out of it. A lot of it went over my head. What kind of interest? You mentioned people coming in and wanting to learn the language or relearn it. Do you have any feel for numbers, any guesstimates of the interest from our people?
Well, that number is certainly, it's a low percentage, but any interest, in our opinion, is highly considered for our points of interest because, you know, for the longest time, I believe a lot of people, including myself, felt that language was intimidating. And so for people to come forward and want to seek more knowledge of the language, you know, is what keeps our drive going in the program. You know, if we get 20 people to come to our language immersion camp, you know, we're elated by that. You know, even though the legislation allows for 50, we've never received 50. But at least with that interest being there, you know, that's what drives our intent to continue to keep this language alive. And so even though the numbers are small, we still accept that.
Well, let me ask, I guess, the both of you here is one of the things I had to deal with when I began attending the class was getting over the feeling that, I'm absolutely ignorant about my own language, and it's not something you're proud of. So let's admit that, get the guilt out of the way, and go in and start to learn, even if it's, the ABC kind of version in Mvskoke, which it was, but you got to learn that before you learn the rest of it, man. Do we still hear that? I mean, do you all still encounter that kind of reaction or feedback from students or even potential students?
Yes, and one thing that we want to convey to those that are wanting to learn is, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to try repeatedly because it shows that desire there. But, that's the stigma that we wanted to put out there and to get away from is don't be afraid to make mistakes with your language, because the more you try, it's just like riding a bicycle. The more you try, the better you get at it. And, even though I grew up in a home where both parents were fluent speakers, out of 10 siblings, none of us were taught the language. But that didn't hinder my desire to try to want to learn. I'm still not fluent. I know a handful of words and phrases. But I think key is getting the tones of our Mvskoke alphabet. We do have resources there that assist with that. We've got a language website that we're getting ready to launch with tons of resources. So, I believe that the staff there are doing everything possible, because we've got some people that are tech savvy. We have some that are still old school that would, want to see a paper. So, we're trying to cover all aspects of getting our language out there. And the classes that we hold, I see a lot of the instructors, they convey to the participants is don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah. Well, I ran into that myself when I was there. I don't think I made any huge mistakes, like, saying the goat ate the linoleum in Mvskoke, but I felt comfortable when I did make a mistake, and people weren't laughing at me, they were laughing with me. I was comfortable in that small class, and we were all there for the same purpose, to regain this knowledge. Now, Dolores, now you have on the front line there, what do you hear from people who are interested in attending and learning?
Well, I've only been there like about 3 weeks. I'm with the work experience program right now, so I came in kind of late, but I'm learning myself, and I've learned a lot since I've been there. I've even went with one of the Mahayas to the elementary to teach the younger kids, and we had to say a couple of sentences in Mvskoke language, and I was nervous about that, but I said one word, and a little boy corrected me. And it did make me feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm glad he knows it. He's young. And he's correcting me. And I told him, I said, hey, that's all he, because I spoke the word to him. And he said, that's not right. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, tell me how you say it. So he said it. And I said, well, I'm learning too. So thank you for for letting me know. And he was native. So I'm like, he knew. But I thought that was so neat because he was like in second grade. So
And
What was
good.
the word?
Yeah.
What was the word?
it was pig, and I don't know.
Soka?
Soka, yeah.
Okay.
But I was saying with you, like sucka. And he's like, he didn't know the word, and I said, pig. He said, oh, that's not correct. I'm like, okay, how do you say it? And he told me. So, but that made me feel good. I'm like, when they're younger, they're willing to learn. But what I really like is the adults that's trying to learn.
And they're willing to teach, obviously, and that's good too. That'll translate throughout the rest of their educating themselves out with language. Because I experienced what you're talking about, and having like guilt. I'm like, I should know this. And especially like growing up in like around the language and stuff, I'm like, why don't I ever know what they're talking about when they speak it? And it's just, I'm like, I just feel like I should know this by now, and it kind of makes me feel like not engaging in a way, but I'm like, I know I should, so I know exactly what you're talking about with that guilt, and I just kind of wanted to go back on that.
Yeah, well, that's that's a huge hurdle, I think, for most beginning students to deal with that embarrassment of I should know, but I don't. And I think you've got a good place where you can overcome that. So that's really neat. Yeah,
and there's a lot of classes it seems like you guys are doing, online forums, in person, and that's really great. It seems like there's always a language event to do or go to or attend or something.
That is correct. You know, with the limited number of staff that we have 5 instructors and a project manager that splits her time into doing language instruction as well. And the areas that they cover is just, you know, it amazes me that they are able to go and fulfill a week's schedule because they take care of all of the Creek Nation Head Starts. We are in the Ryle Public School this year, Mason Public School, and there's Dewar Head Start, Wainwright, and then we're in 2 locations in the Okmulgee location, which is the primary, and then the Dunbar. Gracine takes care of our community classes. Right now we are heavily engaged with the Okmulgee Indian community, which, you know, they've asked for Gracine's instruction week after week. And so we just continue to renew that because as long as there's interest there and if we've got the staff to do that, we will go and fulfill that. So I let Miss Virginia know that they, as a community chairperson, that they're trendsetters over there. You know, they've got 2 individuals there that are taking the language instruction, the resources, and utilizing those even on the days that Gracine's not there. So I want to give them a big shout out this morning.
My son attended the Head Start a couple years ago, and he learned how to count to 10, and he learned, you know, just different words. And one day we're at home, and he said, "Mom, can I have some OA?" And I was like, "Where did you learn that?" He's like, "At school." He said, "Mr. Harjo taught me."
All right.
Yeah, so, yeah, it really does make a difference to start young. And I feel like that's something that's been implemented as of late, you know, the last few years with the program. Because I know growing up, nobody ever really encouraged me to use a language, which also is why I have such an issue saying some things, you know. And so I feel like my son will have that dialect, I guess, to be able to learn quicker than I or, you know, people of my generation that don't know.
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of the instructors indicate that, you know, the children, with their mind, they don't worry about whether they're going to say it right or wrong. They're like little sponges. They just absorb it and then just repeat and not even worrying about making a mistake with it. So
Yeah.
I think as adults, we all have that on our forefront is, oh my goodness, I'm not going to say it that way or the way that it needs to be said. So if we can get past that, you know, I think that we would be able to achieve that milestone of increasing those numbers of speakers.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I know my son, he'll count, you know, he'll do his numbers in front of the whole family and they'll just sit and clap and I'm like, why don't y'all do that for me? I'm like, I need y'all to clap for me. No. But no, it really is cool to see my son do that. And it also encourages me, you know what I mean, because I want to learn more to help him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a ripple effect, I guess you could say.
Well, you know, a bit off the subject, but perhaps related, is even in our profession, as journalists and reporters, sometimes we find it really useful to be able to share a phrase or something like that with a subject.
Yeah, people have asked me, you know, if we could incorporate more language and, you know, things like that, and or why don't we, or, you know, this and that, and you know, I always tell them it's something I wish I could personally do.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I think it's evolving. I mean, I don't mind. I actually kind of enjoy putting my words into my column.
Yeah, and your title is.
I'm a Benign. And, you know, I always try to end it with a ta-da, and don't squash the lojas.
I know I've called Judy before trying to get phrase translations and stuff like that. In the past, just for different things like a little post or something, you know, trying to do what we can to implement it. But yeah, sometimes it gets busy, so sometimes we're not always able to do that. But I hope I can focus on that more now that we're talking about it.
Well, I think you all are offering some classes online at least that would facilitate that kind of request. I saw one that unfortunately I couldn't participate in because of my schedule on sentence structure. And I was thinking, cool, man, and not just learning the word. You can learn the Mvskoke word for squash if you're going to squash the lojas. And we drive up and down 75 and you see lots of them.
Yeah.
And armadillo. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with the subject we're talking about. But do you plan on outreach like this, taking on more ideas and sharing them?
Oh, yes. We incorporate numerous events, outreach, attempts to share the language throughout the year. And the National Council is, so gracious enough to allow us to plan for different events. One of the things that we've had in our budget to do is a language fellowship day, which we could partner with any department, any community. We would create a learning lesson based on what your interest is, or we have some that we've already done in the past that we could share. We provide the handouts for that day. We purchase the food for that day. So, there's so many different avenues that we can share the language. It seems like our obstacle is everybody's days are pretty booked. It tends to go on weekends sometimes, which we do those, but I don't like to get in a routine of that because, our staff, they like to enjoy their weekends also. Mm-hmm. So, but we do make those sacrifices. We currently have we have 3 grants in our department, and we're closing out, getting close to the 3rd year on 2 of those. And one of them is a storytelling event, which is from our fluent speakers. We partner with a community. We have 11 more events to go that will finish out our 3rd year. And the purpose of that is not to get an in-house large number of attendance, but it's to push for those views on YouTube once we get those recorded. And so we will be reaching out to 11 more communities to try to seek those storytelling events to get that completed. We have the Preservation and Maintenance Grant, which just started its 3rd year, which Eli Rowland heads that grant. It allows for 2 instructors at the Okmulgee locations for language instruction. She's the project manager there. The 3rd grant that we have, it ends in December, which is our virtual language instruction. Mahia Desiree is the one that provides classes for that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which is in person in Oklahoma City. So we had a request from the Oklahoma City Outreach Center to have in-person language instruction there. So we're going on 6 months with that location, and she has an attendance between 10 to 20 individuals that show up. And so, one of the focuses that I like to share with our instructors is it's not the number of attendees. If you've got one that's interested, it makes it worthwhile. So we don't focus a lot on the number that's in attendance or who all's enrolled. But if we can get a few people that's interested, then that makes us happy.
Right.
And it's like that ripple effect I was kind of talking about. You can teach one person and they may teach, several.
Right.
So that's kind of where it starts, I think, just getting it out there.
Well, I've shared a few words with my wife, who's a Ojibwe from Minnesota. So she knows about humbucks, too.
You got to know that one, yeah.
Knows that one.
Everybody knows
I
that.
think everybody does, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the phrase right there.
Yeah, that's it. Even Stackies know that one. Dolores, now, you're kind of on the front lines. Are you answering the phones and taking, dealing with the requests for or interest from the public?
Well, right now I'm kind of just the office assistant. I help.
Yeah.
I help in the office, whatever and when he needs. We have resource packets that I've been putting together. That has coloring books. It has the whole big packet with different, like the alphabet, the sounds, money. It has. I mean, it's a packet that.
Did you say money?
it has. And but I'm not comfortable yet, like you said, like answering the phone because how they do answer in Mvskoke, and I say it to myself, and I'm like, okay, I don't sound correct. It doesn't sound good, but I'm still practicing on that. But I'm learning, and a lot of things, like if I see it, and I told one of the teachers, I said my way, you probably grew up with it and you know words, but I'm learning the sounds and the phonics of it. So if I see a word, I'm able to sound it out and know, or if I don't, then I'll ask someone, what's this, to get in my head if I said it right, correctly,
Right,
or said
pull
to
it
myself.
apart. And
So
letter
the way
by
I'm
letter.
learning, I'm thinking, and that's what, like Judy was saying, everybody coming in, the learning going different places and learning actually how to read it, because that's how I'm learning. I think that's good for me.
And it's
'cause of
tricky to read
phonics.
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Very tricky to read because the alphabet, certain things sound different, and there's almost no R sound. I don't think, right?
It's pronounced the.
Yeah, there's no like R.
athlete.
Yeah, there's no like R in the language really. So that's also another trick. Like you could speak in code with Mvskoke
Yes.
language. I think, yeah, and trick somebody, but. It is really hard to read, and so you gotta kind of learn your own way sometimes.
We've often heard that the number of fluent speakers is declining at a dangerous rate. Do you have any feel for how many folks are still fluent? Or I know that'd be kind of hard to draw that conclusion, but just a feel for it.
Without a firm census, it's hard to determine that. We had a round table one day that our fluent speakers just started jotting down people that they knew, and I'm sure that there was several that were left out, but I would say fewer than 500. Whenever COVID hit, it seemed like it was attacking our fluent speakers just left and right, which was a horrific thing that happened to us. But we don't let that deter our goal of wanting to create speakers and to create an interest for people to learn the language, because I feel like as Mvskoke people, we either need to be a learner, a teacher, or an advocate. We could all do something of some sort, to help language along. And so, several years ago, if you'd come into the department, I'd had people come in, what do you have to help us learn the language? And as years progressed, with the talented staff that is there, they've built resources, whether it's hard copy resources, whether it's on CDs, so there's really no excuse for not learning the language, because we have it in all form. We have it in classes, in person, by Zoom that reaches our at-large citizens, and so we just trying to hit every avenue that we can to get that language out there.
Well, now, when you mention, folks off res, I'm thinking, well, there's a big group in California. I mean, have they shown them particular interest?
Yeah, Mahia Barnett is the one that offers that on Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays, and the majority of her, I call them Zoomers, but participants that Zoom in, there's about 20.
Wow.
I think another great part of this is like the community that, it brings together, ways to get together with people that are like you and, a part of your communities. And that's another huge part of it for, I'm seeing that it's bringing people together, learning the language and sharing stories and sharing, laughs probably and, stories. So that's a cool part of it I'm seeing. So.
What about the children? I mean, interest from little kids, Head Start, obviously, and are you seeing things there that are really encouraging about the little ones learning and absorbing now?
Oh yeah, some of the Mahias that go out to the Head Starts, they will catch little snippets of songs or prayers that the children are learning, and then we put that out on Instagram. And so, seeing those things that, where the children are learning, that's something that we like to share with others. And right now we're kind of on a downtime with that because we've had to regroup. We've got a new graphic designer. His name is Michael Cook, and he's doing a tremendous job with our program. And so we are trying to play catch up, but, in the next few weeks, hopefully you'll be able to see some new things come out about what the students and the children are learning.
Now we've got a few minutes left. Anything on your mind there, Morgan? Nothing?
No, not really. I mean, I know that people love to see the little ones try to speak it. It's just the cutest thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, your department gets called on to do a lot of different special event kind of things, sending them to sing gospel songs or
Right.
Creek songs, and they've been to some pretty significant events, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, one of the things that I do love about the job there. It allows us to go and cover all aspects, because not just all of our staff go to church, not all of our staff go to ceremonial grounds, but it allows us to cover all those aspects of the needs that are for these events. And we just attended a funeral Friday for a Mvskoke citizen in Mvskoke. And just to go and be able to sing the hymns, it did me a lot of good. That's part of my job that I really enjoy. It allows us to go and be involved and show the needs, and show the love of people that are in need. And so that's very gratifying for me.
Are there any kind of groups that you guys do have? Is that kind of a group you guys put together to go out to funerals or services and sing? Or
there again, I don't compare ourselves to like Native Praise or anything like that, but
wow, you're certainly talking about a high standard there. Gosh.
But we do what we can when there's a need for it. So we don't consider ourselves as a group, but there are several of us that do Mvskoke hymns.
Are some of those volunteer?
Oh yes.
Yeah, the group's volunteer group.
Yes.
Okay, well that's nice. That's a good way to get involved in learning languages, singing, I think, too.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I tell you what, in the last couple of minutes, we have a few announcements we'd care to share that we want to get out. Whoa, get out there.
Do you guys what do you do for social media and contact and all that stuff?
In fact, we just came from Mvskoke Media picking up our QR codes.
Yeah.
And so when you scan that, you'll be able to see all the different avenues of things that we have on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
We have a word of the day on the Facebook, don't we?
Yeah, word of the day.
TikTok, maybe? Do you guys do TikTok?
I think Jordan does.
Jordan does the TikTok?
I'm not sure.
And before it gets banned.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I tell you what, why don't you lead off there?
All right, so currently going on is a stop dance can making workshop with Billy Jack Wilson. This is a part of a Culture is Prevention activity. It is going on Monday, which would have been the 28th, through Friday, at the Omogi Indian Community Center from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. This week. That's going on every day this week. It says contact lbear at cmn.edu to participate. And then next we have a Labor Day Indian taco sale coming up on the 4th. There it is right there. Okay, yeah, this will be on Labor Day. It is to benefit the Wilson and Yardika Indian communities in their trip to Georgia. It'll be 11 to 1 p.m., $10 for a drink and dessert and a taco at Brownstone, 9th and Main in Henrietta.
Remember when those tacos used to go for about $5?
Yeah, everything is doubled, I think.
Yeah, let me have one with extra grease, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, here's a language challenge. S-to-G Fest.
G Fest.
S-to-G Fest. Okay, I got that one right. I'm not embarrassed. That's September 13th from 5 to 8, and that's for Mvskoke Creek citizens who are first-time pregnant or parent of an infant. The deadline to register is September 1st, coming up pretty quick, so you might want to check that one out. And going on in Omogi as far as I can see there. And of course our annual diabetes summit coming up on September 14th. We have your annual chance to get all the information you can on diabetes, how to deal with it, or perhaps recover from it. And contact other people that find themselves in the same situation. So contact Dwayne Meadows at 918-752-7949 or Cheryl Aguilar at 918-758-6910.
And then the 8th annual Mvskoke Spelling Bee competition. This is a money competition. First place, 300. Second place, 200. Third place, 100. Saturday, September 16th, starting at 10 a.m. at the Eufaula Community Center. Contact 918-732-7725. Is that you guys?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So you can contact Judy and get involved in that and come spell your Mvskoke words.
Or misspelled them.
Or misspell, yes.
Okay, let's see. Oh, by the way, speaking of language programs, you're closing your office Tuesday, September 5th, right?
Yes, sir.
For the language gathering. Well, thank you all for listening. We appreciate you joining us today on Mvskoke Radio. We'll be back with more.
You've been listening to Mvskoke
Mado.
Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.